Jai Guruji, Auntie.
Jai Guruji, how are you?
Fine. Looking forward for the reading.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me. So, without further ado, we read about Kuwait last, and after that, we read about the cake that healed me. And it was no coincidence. I was reading about the cake yesterday, and then I cut the cake in the evening. So, Guruji is very kind. And there are no coincidences with Guruji, everything is by his choice, nothing by chance. So, chapter 6, the title is Other Operations. Where faith begins, doubt ends. Hopefully, with most of us. Then, when we have absolute faith in our hearts, then doubt has to dissolve and end. Guruji had once said that when you are sick, only your Guruji would come and be by your side. And after leaving the physical body, my Guru Parivar will be there too, which is a reality today for most of us. Guruji is, of course, there in spirit. But in physical, the Guru Parivar always comes forward to offer us some kind of solace, support, and their absolute devotional love. At the time he spoke, I did not quite relate to his words. But as I sat in the hospital, gladly savoring the cake, but being consumed by the thought of undergoing yet another surgery, I realized how fortunate and blessed I was to have this incredible support. With the benefit of hindsight, all that Guruji had uttered unfolded. The following afternoon, a Friday, as I lay on my hospital bed, all the while my mind was on one Sangat that Timsi Tulli was holding at a place, one satsang that Timsi Tulli was holding at a place in Gurgaon. Then, most unexpectedly, she rang to reassure me that I would not require surgery. The Sangat was praying for me and that she would be sending me prasad once the satsang was over. I thanked her most politely and also thanked Guruji for all the support his followers offered. I was meant to have been there in satsang. Nevertheless, Timsi never forgot to include me in her prayers. This is testimony of Guruji's casual claim of how the Sangat will one day become one true family. It is our reality. At 5 p.m., Rohit, Appu and Dimpi, my relatives, my cousins, gently pushed me on the wheelchair to the car to drive me to the MRI scanning center. On arrival, I was filled with trepidation as I had to go through the CAT scan, which was a claustrophobic experience. While I lay there, Appu held my hand and my head very distinctly, and immediately and unmistakably, I sensed Guruji's fragrance. It was strong and clear. Guruji then spoke to me telepathically, and my interpretation goes something like this. This is just a wake-up call for you. You will not undergo surgery, but when a drastic change comes about in your life, it is an indication for you to change. Firstly, you complain endlessly, and then you don't do as I ask you to do. Being good is not good enough, and you need to do good too. It's the entire gamut of faith that counts. My word is low, but you always try to break it with your ego. Your questions are too many, but have you tried to seek a single answer? No. And that is because, like most Sangat, you are far too busy asking, brooding, commenting, doubting, evaluating, and fussing and grumbling. The A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You are a happiness is for others and struggles are for me kind of person. You do not read the Shipran as I asked you to. You do not sit and meditate again, as I suggested that you do for 1 hour every day. कार बैठ के भी याद करो, satsang bhi jao, and kar बैठ के पढ़ो शिव पुराण. These are the remedies for the maladies of Kali Yuga. You are full of doubts and you expect only the do's from me. Sorry, you are full of don'ts and you expect only the do's from me. This wake me up every time I lose faith call will not come again and again. So learn it once and for all. Ask for the real deal before it is too late. Connect to my name and the rest will come at the right time, space, and sequence. Go home and change your attitude, the way you change your clothes. The shift will take place once you make the necessary change. This is so relevant even today. We forget all the blessings that we have received from Guruji, and we come into this ABC mode, which is accuse, blame, criticize, or abuse, claim, blame, and criticize or complain. I felt that Guruji, for the umpteenth time, was nudging me to get my act together. He reminds us, from time to time, to truly sit up and pull ourselves together, put our chin up and smile, because everyone is suffering and struggling at some level. So even in the realm of struggle, we are not alone. It's a collective struggle right now. And I feel Guruji has eased our pain through giving us the gift of satsangs, this platform of reading, where many get their answers. And he simplified it. So whatever seva, gupt part, gupt dan, and satsang seva simran. So whatever he's given us, it is our greatest gift that enables us to cross the ocean of world existence to finally reach him. I came out of the CAT scan as well as the conversation with Guruji. After having the prasad that Hapu and Dimpy had got for me from Timzi's satsang that Friday afternoon, I returned once again to the hospital where I was for the last 2 weeks. The following morning, the doctor and surgeon entered my room with a bewildered expression and stated, I really don't understand what happened, but your MRI report is absolutely clear. You can go home now. But I have to confirm that there are certain medical issues, but obviously a higher power is protecting you. No surgery is required, and Guruji has stated that first through his Sangat and through a telepathic conversation during the CAT scan. Even today, I truly believe that Guruji conveys his messages to his Sangat one way or the other. So we just have to have this complete surrender, positive surrender, and trust in his messages that come directly from him to us. So Guruji has stated before he left his physical body that my calligraphy was impressive. This is a little digression from my health, but everything is related. Teri handwriting puri India which best kar deti hai. Guruji always had a way of making each of his devotees feel as though they were the most special. During my stay in hospital, he again spoke to me through Sangat, Rohit Kapoor. Rohit sat with me in the hospital for 4 hours, emphasizing the importance of utilizing my talent for Guruji. As soon as I reached home, after a heavy cloud had lifted, I placed my pen on paper and began sketching Guruji in calligraphy. I must confess that at first I was a bag of nerves, as my thoughts were, how can I possibly sketch Guruji? I will not be able to do any justice. After a while, sketching endlessly with my pen, I produced many black and white prints of Guruji. I then reproduced them by getting them color photocopied to distribute them amongst the Sangat as seva. Now I wasn't just better and busy, but I was once again beaming with his blessings. Merely 2 weeks prior to Guruji's birthday, Bambi, my Guru sister, called me for a meeting at her place to discuss Guruji's birthday celebrations to be held at her place on Thursday, the 7th of July. As I sat in her darbar, along with a couple of other people who were to contribute to the arrangements, including Mr. R.P. Sharma, I became immersed in Guruji's painting that sat before us all. The lit candle emitted its luminosity on his lifelike image, and his presence could be felt distinctly that blessed morning. We all had chai prasad and ate other food that had been blessed before Bambi took me by surprise. She asked me to publish my book, Turning the Page, as it needed to be gifted on Guruji's birthday, along with many other gifts. She only had a vague idea that I was writing my personal experiences with Guruji and how he had transformed my life and altered my destiny. She had no idea about the nature of the book or how relevant it would be for the Sangat. In fact, no one knew, including me, of how significant or relevant it could be. I had only consulted Mr. R.P. Sharma many months prior to this meeting on Facebook from Manchester. I did not know him personally, but Guruji made me connect to him. And I remember this moment as clear as day, that I had written the book in 1 month, Turning the Page. It came straight from my heart. And the words just flowed. 1 month I wrote that book. And I simply messaged, and Facebook was fairly new back then. So I messaged Mr. R.P. Sharma, a very respected Sangat and my Guru brother. And I just asked him to read the book. And he read, and I said, is it worthy of printing? He said, absolutely. And in times to come, it'll be very relevant for the Sangat. And I had no idea that it would be so relevant. It was actually about my life after my marital breakdown and how Guruji enabled me to rebuild my life with confidence, with courage, with strength, and healthy self-esteem, because I had lost everything in my marriage. But he had regained it by giving me an identity. He gave me a sense of purpose, of traveling the globe and to share my experiences that resonated with people as time went by. Because many people started relating, even though cancer I had many moons ago, and I was divorced many moons ago. But today, like Guruji said, ghar ghar ki kahani ho jani hai, divorce, cancer, depression. So though I suffered these many years ago, today it's become relevant and it resonates with Sangat. So they get their reassurance, they gain their strength. And by sharing our narratives, we are actually sharing a collective humanity and a collective destiny, because everyone has similar issues. So we are all there to walk each other home, to mentor each other, to do better and to be better. So he had counseled me on its format and offered me his suggestions. But since I had reservations about publishing it, we barely spoke about it until I arrived in Delhi in February 2011. That's like 14 years ago. It was Guruji who had inspired me to connect with Mr. R.P. Sharma, who I vaguely knew as another Sangat. Knowing him was a pleasure and a privilege, as his devotion to our Guruji Maharaj was an inspiration to me. But we barely interacted. One fine day, he randomly suggested that I ought to pen down my experiences with Guruji furthermore, but I did not act on that thought immediately. So here we were now, sitting in Bambi's home, when my heart suddenly skipped a beat at its mention. The book was nowhere near completion, as in I had not edited it. I had not thought of a cover. I shared my reservations about wanting the book published, since it was a very personal account, almost autobiographical, containing greater self-disclosure than necessary. I had written it as an expression of my love for Guruji, and I wasn't sure if others would be able to relate to it. My questions, however, were answered as they are in one moment of assertion. I want your book in precisely 2 weeks, said Bambi. On Guruji's birthday, we will distribute those books, so get on the job, demanded Bambi. My thoughts were not open to negotiation, so I stayed silent while my heart pounded and became heavier as I wondered how it would be executed. My apprehension got the better of me, as I hadn't even fine-tuned my language or given it a conclusion. I had not decided what font to apply, and there was no choice of a cover either. Gosh, a mammoth task lay ahead. Only Guruji knew how incapable I was of executing it successfully within the given time frame. And I recalled his words, "You do your best and let your Guruji do the rest." My mind was put to rest as R.P. Sharma came to my rescue promptly. He took over the entire publishing from beginning to end. Apparently, throughout the process, he experienced Guruji's fragrance. And that was the validation that Guruji was giving each one of us, that it is the right thing to do. Because in times to come, the Sangat would need it. Every phase of printing was a satsang. And R.P. Sharma put my faith into context, paragraphing the power of devotion well. He did not get the work revised or edited, as truth is difficult to revise or edit. The book was raw, and it was written exactly the way Guruji wanted it. The book was published precisely the way it was written. A day before Guruji's birthday, the books were ready, and on his birthday, they were distributed. I am convinced now that Guruji directed R.P. Sharma as the pages turned ever so smoothly in the 2 weeks from the prologue to the epilogue. So here, even the book of our lives are written from the beginning by God till the end. So really, why do we worry? Like he said, don't worry, but worship. So convert the worry into worship. Convert the pain into pleasure by doing your seva. And convert the thanklessness that we have in our hearts at times for the lives that we're living into the deepest thankfulness, deepest gratitude. Because truly, he rewrites our destinies. And he handholds us even when we are struggling, be it with our health, be it with our finances, or be it with our relationships. Guruji is hand-holding each one of us. And that is what needs to be remembered, nothing else. And he's given us the tools to appease the pain, which is listening to Shabad Gurbani as much as we can and really absorbing the vibrations and the energy of those lyrics and the Gurbani, the vibes of those, the Gurbani. So I had arrived in Delhi in February and left in July. Before I left for Manchester in July, soon after Guruji's birthday celebrations, to join the rest of the family for a family cruise to celebrate my elder brother Rajan's 50th birthday, I had the honor of arranging many satsangs in other sanghas' homes. The satsangs and the langar I ate before and after being discharged from the hospital is what rendered me tremendous strength. The vagaries of my time in Delhi are testimony to how Guruji eradicates our karma in the blink of an eye. He literally drives the vehicle of our lives. If he left the driving to me, then I would, without a shadow of doubt, be encountering many head-on collisions. From visiting Kuwait to getting hospitalized, making a quick recovery, to evading more surgeries, producing sketches, publishing a book, to organizing satsangs and connecting more people are all Guruji's doing. Another element of surprise after my return to Manchester, just before the family cruise, was Olga Batia's visit. She and her daughter stayed with me, and she and her daughter stayed with me, and we bonded like sisters. I think I meant son, sharing the same taste in music, food, and our love for our Guruji. On her fourth day, we kept a small satsang at my place where she spoke incessantly about her love and devotion to Guruji. Subsequently, we danced to the divine beats. We were in complete rhythm with each other during her 7 night stay with me, as Guruji had blessed every moment. Another monumental satsang that must not be overlooked occurred while I sat alone at the temple a week or so before my return home. It was a Monday in Bade Mandir, and as I was having my samosa and chai prasad, I consumed my feelings of trepidation. I telepathically asked Guruji to keep me creatively occupied in Manchester, other than with satsangs. It was imperative for me to remain constructively occupied, as I had a tendency to fall into mild depression if I was left idle-minded. As I sat pensively, the lady in whose home I conducted my satsang during the month of March that year approached me. We barely knew each other, and I recall meeting her and her family at her residence very briefly through VP Bharadwaj, who encouraged me to do satsangs there. I came away thinking, what a beautiful family, but we never met again until this moment. She was Anjali Balla, devout Guruji devotee, as was her entire family. She introduced herself to me and informed me of her art galleries. She was very well groomed and attractive, and so was her daughter-in-law. I introduced myself as an aspiring artist who didn't really aspire much. We fixed lunch at her place, and on going there, we spoke at length about Guruji and how he alters destinies. It was a pleasurable afternoon, and I met her entire family, all deeply connected to Guruji. Anjali, to my surprise, offered to train me as an art consultant who could hold regular exhibitions in Manchester, as Indian paintings were a complete novelty there. I reflected on this for not more than a few seconds, and I signed up for it immediately, as I took it as a sign from Guruji. He was, as usual, painting my life's canvas by adding another interesting element to it. We agreed that she would train me once I returned in August for a couple of weeks. Each time I reflect on the sequence of events during my stay, it is mind-boggling how he connects every dot together to make sense of our lives. Without him, our life is senseless. Without him, we would all be at sea. But because we have Guruji, he has a very clear plan for each one of us. Clear and very, I would say, a very meaningful plan. So we must hold on to the belief that is there and to hold on to that patience that we need for him to reveal the plan to us. Without his grace, it would have been impossible for me to be swiftly back on my feet, holding on to my other body parts that were to be taken away, to be given a job, and then to have a book published. No surgery had taken place, but many operations had been executed into his fold. I was on my feet and running, and shortly afterwards, once again, I was flying. Following the celebratory cruise with my mother and my siblings and their family, I once again returned to Delhi for a brief visit of 2 weeks for my satsangs and training as an art consultant. While I was there, someone in the temple asked me when the sequel to the first book was to be released. I looked at them quite blankly. Other than in my mind, I had not even begun writing it. yet another nudge from Guruji, I thought. And that is Divine Light was what I'm reading. This also came, the message from Guruji in Bade Mandir, when a Sangat approached me and said, turning the page is remarkable. When are you writing your next one? So Guruji gives us signs, there's no doubt, very sure and very crystal clear. So keep the patience, keep the faith, and don't lose hope, because without him, we are hopeless. Without him, we are truly lost. But he doesn't want that from us. He wants us to hold it together. He wants us to be confident. He wants us to be courageous. And he wants us to keep loving him. That is the greatest gift he can give us, the gift of love. So, Jai Guruji, thank you for listening. And tomorrow is chapter 7.
Thank you, Auntie. Thank you so much. Like, indeed, a beautiful reading and so many messages. Thank you, Sangat ji, for joining. Jai